gamers? Welcome back to another episode of the Cuddlepunk Podcast. I'm your host, the mastermind, Veronica Vext. With us today, you can see our guest today, this Saturday at Bottom Lounge with his band 10-Month-Summer. They are celebrating the 1-year anniversary of them being a band. Y'all, Nish is here, baby. Nish from 10-Month-Summer. How's it going?
It's 10-Month-Summer. It's good. How are you? Thanks for having me on.
Happy to have you. I was listening to your stuff last night to get ready for this interview. I knew the band name sounded familiar, and then I heard your live EP, and I'm like, oh, it's a fucking Turnover reference, of course. that makes complete sense.
Yeah. A lot of people are like, I don't want to be silly, but is this a Turnover reference? And we're like, yeah, it's very blatantly like we are a Turnover influence band.
I think it's interesting that you guys are that influenced by Turnover, because it definitely comes like the first thing that I thought of when I was listening to you guys was that Turnover movements, fucking Citizen era, like that soft grunge era of pop punk.
Yes.
It feels like that's the newest genre of pop punk that's getting a nostalgic reappraisal.
I think so. Yeah. I feel like, well, I saw a horrific, so I'm almost 30, so I'm an old man. And I saw this horrific tweet the other day that was like, what the 80s were to us in the 2000s is what the 2000s is to us now. And I was just like, holy sh! Can I swear?
Yeah, I've been saying fuck this whole time.
Okay. Yeah, I just want to make sure. I was like, holy fuck, I'm so old. It's like, good lord. So
that's how I was feeling last year when I saw one of the Citizen 10-year anniversary shows for youth.
Yeah.
I was just, God, I'm a fucking old bitch.
I know. Oh my goodness. Yeah, I think that really is where we're coming from in terms of a lot of the sonic sensibilities we have. So our lead guitarist Sam is the youngest person in the band, and he's I think 24. So he's got a lot of the more modern emo fifth wave revival sensibilities for how he plays guitar. But then Charlie, our rhythm guitarist, is 34, right? So he's got a 10-year difference on Sam, and his sensibilities come a lot where mine come from, just your 2010s One Years, Movement, Citizen, that kind of era of music. But also we grew up on Fall Out Boy, Panic at the Disco, Paramore, that era of Take This to Your Grave, that kind of grittier, radio friendly pop punk almost. And I think that we've got a nice blend of that, hopefully. But yeah, it's I feel now's the time to now that these bands are coming into the zeitgeist of being oldies in the genre, which is crazy to think about. I think that a lot of bands popping up now are taking influence from them because that was their formative musical years versus what we used to hear 15, 20 years ago.
What's your opinion on Turnover's live show? Because I remember seeing them in 2019, and I love them to death. I don't know if the show itself is that great.
Yeah, I've seen them a couple times now. I saw them. I haven't seen them post the Good Nature release, so I saw them in that era, and I love Good Nature as an album too.
Good Nature's my favorite Turnover record, more than Peripheral Vision, honestly.
Yeah, that record is. I think both Good Nature and Magnolia are the bastard children of Turnover's discography now because of how good PV was. But I'm a Magnolia purist. I think the album is actually one of the best emo pop punk records to ever exist. PV is an amazing shoegaze record. But yeah, when I was watching the Good Nature songs live, it was cool, but it was also with the set. I think it was Elvis Presley was playing that show. This was a long time ago. And they're a much heavier band in terms of the Good Nature sound. And yeah, I don't know. I've seen some live videos of Plant Life and the new album, and it just isn't the same for me because I'm used to seeing them play Magnolia. A long time ago, my old band opened for Turnover when they had just released their split EP with Citizen. That's what I remember Turnover being and wow. So it is just not the same now. And bands are of course allowed to evolve and change, but I think that we as our own human beings evolve and change maybe in different lines. And I think that the path many of us have taken in our musical journey is not the same as Turnover's taken in their musical journey.
When I saw Turnover in 2019, also on the Good Nature era, the band that was opening for them was Turnstile.
Oh, so gosh.
That was a wash, an absolute wash in terms of stage presence.
Yeah, I mean, man, Turnstile, talk about a band that knows how to do a live show. They fuck.
I remember being so freaked out when Citizen announced that they were opening for Turnstile in 2021. That just simply did not compute for me.
It's just so interesting the ways that I feel a lot of these bands that I thought they weren't heavy, but heavier in the scene per se, that soft grunge, really have I feel Turnover and Citizen both did that almost like indie shoegaze switch, a couple of records in, and it's interesting to see how some bands did that, whereas others, I feel like the One Deers are an example of a band that was, kind of hitting their heyday in the era that have like started to like deviate further into harder roots. Like I feel like their latest single is definitely a lot harder than like what newer fans know of them. But like if you knew
Well,
them
do you
back in
know
like the
the story?
upsides,
Do you know why they made that single?
that's for WWE, right?
Yeah, it's for
Yeah,
NXT. They
yeah.
have every WrestleMania weekend, NXT, which is the WWE developmental brand, they have their
Uh-huh.
own like pay-per-view that during
Mm,
WWE weekend. It's the single for that because I know Poppy did a cover of Stand and Deliver by Adam Ant in 2021 for
mm.
NXT as well.
Gotcha. Yeah, I love that. Like I like, and I feel like if NXT had reached out to Turnover for something like that, I don't think they would have taken it. I don't think they would have like wanted to make a harder song. And like, I mean, I've heard rumors on the Turnover Reddit page that Austin Getz is like working on like more like alt country stuff now, and that's where the new record's going to go towards, which is like good for them, but like certainly not for me.
Pine Grove
And I
Turnover, that's going to be very
yeah.
interesting.
Yeah, we'll see how it goes. I mean, like, he's got a sweet voice, and like they certainly know how to do textures really well. But I don't know. I miss like Magnolia Turnover a lot. Like that was like I was surprised when PV came out. Like, I didn't like PV at first when it first came out. I was like, what is this indie garbage? But I mean, now it's like one of my favorite records in the world. But at the time, I was like, I want to hear like the fast, like the galloping drums, like what's happening here. But no, PV holds a special place in our heart for sure. Obviously, since we named our band after one of the songs in the album.
I think that's gonna go down as like, if history is to believe, that's gonna be like the defining album of that era. That and like
Oh
Citizen
yeah.
Truth.
Yeah, 100%. Like there's no question about it. Like um I think in terms of like the shoegaze revival, like I know that there's a lot of great shoegaze bands in the modern era out there, but like you just like simply cannot knock like it is like Turnover's PV is like what Slow Dive Slovakia was back in the day, like for this generation of kids. And I think that I will say that I think the new Hotline TNT album, Cartwheel, like that's like a good contender. It's like coming close. Like the sounds on that album are like really good shoegaze sounds, but I think it's still PV on top. Like it's insane how good that record is.
I've been hearing Cartwheel come up in my recommends. They're a lot of fun. They're a good band.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. That album is really good. I think it was probably my album of the year last year as a banger.
You've got the 1 year anniversary show coming up for your guys' band. Let's go a little
Yes.
bit more into the history of 10 Month Summer. You guys
Let's
have
do
been a
it.
band for 1 year now. How did y'all all come together?
Yeah. So the five of us in the band are myself, Nish. I sing and write the words. There's Charlie, who is our rhythm guitarist. Sam is our lead guitarist. Dawson is our bassist, and Luke is our drummer, and also the person that records, mixes, masters, produces. Just as all anything you hear that comes out from us has mainly been touched by Luke. Dawson helps a little as well with the pre-editing process. So me and Luke were in a band together before called Ocean Glass for like a long time. I started that band originally with like my brother and some friends in high school. It went through a lot of lineup changes, but I think for close to half a decade I was in that band with Luke. And so in 2022 we took a break. We had a member leave to join Grief Eater, which is also a great band in the Chicago scene. So shout out Grief Eater, love those homies. And so just three of us left. Our other guitarist slash singer Kyle was like, I think I always also want to take a step back where things are slowing down. Let's just like reassess things. And then there was some like radio silence for like a while. And so after like 6 months at the end of 2022, Luke messaged me and was just like, "Yo, do you still like want to do this like music shit?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm like craving, like I really want to keep doing music." And so as to not step on the old band's toes, we're like, let's just start a new project so that like, if the other band comes back, we can just like jump into that. So we sat down, like had a meal, had some beers, and just like we're talking about what records we're listening to recently. And Luke had been listening to PV a lot, and I was like, "Oh, I love that record." Like, like, do we want to get into like a more shoegazy sound? Because our old band was like a little softer indie rock. And he was like, "Yeah." So we just went online. We put some feelers out on like Facebook and Reddit, and we found Charlie and Sam first, and then we had a wonderful human named Scott join us originally on bass. After like 2 or 3 weeks in, Scott was like, "Hey, I've had some life changes. I can't actually commit to a band full time. Y'all sound really great. I want to make sure that you have like the right legs going forward." So we auditioned some more bassists. Dawson came in, and so March of last year we like solidified the lineup, and we're like, we are 10 Month Summer. Here we go. And I think that PV was like it was a big uh like calling point for most of us. Like when we put out the call for musicians, we're like, we want to sound not like we don't want to copy this album, but this album is influencing a lot of the themes, ideas, both musically and lyrically, of what we're trying to achieve. But I mean, you've heard the live EP, so like if you listen to us, we certainly, I would like to say that like only a couple songs sound the same in some of the fact that like they're in the same tuning, and that's why they pull from similar chords and structures. But we try to write anything. Like we don't really care about being a genre. We call ourselves Lakeshore Emo because why the fuck not? Genres aren't real. Nothing is real. It's all fake. We just like to make music that we enjoy. And so in the last year, we've written like a ton of songs, and we just keep turning them out, and like really don't care if like we have a song coming out tomorrow that's like a love ballad that isn't really our regular style, and then we've got a song hopefully coming out like 3 or 4 weeks that is way different than that. And like I don't know. I think the fun of 10 Month Summer is that we get to really just like write what we want, and we've luckily had people enjoy that, which is a good time.
Do you think there is like a leaning into the just disillusion of genre in not just the Chicago scene, but in like music in general at this point? Like it seems like nobody is sticking to one sound right now. Like especially like if you look like the pinnacle of that right now is Bring Me the Horizon, where they don't
Yes.
want to stick to anything.
Yeah. Yeah. I think before when like radio and like MTV, like, those mainstream media channels that were handpicked and chosen were the main ways of people finding music. I think genre was a lot more important then, because if you didn't fit a certain sound, you couldn't make it onto a certain platform, right? But now that we have Spotify and algorithms for, like Tuesday morning garden pop, you can get, as specific as that to just new faces of rock, right? Like anyone can do anything. And like, especially with how TikTok is letting us, explore new sounds too. Like there's so much saturation of music, which is, I think, both a good and a bad thing. But like anyone and everyone can make a song now, which is really cool. And because of that, we have so many more sensibilities and mindsets coming into music. And I think that it's just like silly to say you're one genre or to get mad about if someone's calling themselves a certain genre or not. Like, I mean, the joke, of course, is like r/emo, right? Like they're always pissed about, is this band emo or not? Like, how dare you even ask that question? Blah blah.
It's
It's
like
like,
copy pasta here.
yeah, exactly. Insert kind of pasta here, right? And like, I think it's just like impossible to stay as a single genre and like continue to thrive as a creative in this world, right? Because like you don't want to make the same thing again and again, and now we're being exposed to so much different stuff constantly all the time that like it would feel, I think, disingenuous to just say I only want to make this kind of music, if that makes sense.
I think you need to like just see more multi-genre tours in general too. Like I remember one of the best shows that I ever went to was the Boys of Summer tour when Fall Out Boy and Wiz Khalifa were touring together.
Yes, that was a crazy one, and it was fun. I mean, like, I will credit Fall Out Boy for always trying to do some crazy shit like that. I mean, like they had the Jay-Z feature on Infinity on High. Like, I mean, they've always been a band really immersed in other cultures of music. Like, I mean, especially with like Andy and Joe coming from harder backgrounds, Patrick Stump coming from much more poppier, like crooning background. Like that's like my favorite band of all time, and I really have like
And then
loved
Pete
the way that
has
they've
like a
evolved.
lot more of the like hip hop influences that have been coming in the
Exactly.
last couple of years.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, like you look at like what was it? Like Save Rock and Roll had like like Big Sean on that record, but also Courtney Love on that record, right? And then you have the Burna Boy feature on Mania. So I mean, like they've never been afraid to like really experiment with that. And like I know it hasn't sat well for a lot of people, and for a while I was also not a fan of a lot of these genre changes because I'm gonna take this to your grave, old fart, old man yelling at sky and cloud. But I mean, I love their new stuff. Like once you look at those records as pop records, it's a great time. Like if you're not
Save
trying to
Rock
like
and Roll
just
is an underrated record from Fall Out Boy.
100%, 100%. That record bang, and people were like
I
so
will
mad
say
that they
I
called it
don't
that.
think I will say I don't think that Big Sean realized what band he was featuring on because
No.
he does drop a Simple Plan reference in his verse.
Yes. Yeah, he was like he was just like all these sad white boys are the same to me.
God
Threw it
forbid
in
Big
there.
Sean think for more than 2 seconds about one of his lyrics.
Yeah.
I wanted to talk to you about Fall Out Boy. Obviously, I have the Fall Out Boy pizza poster from the Hella Mega Tour in the background.
Yes.
Do you Fall Out Boy? I was talking about this with a friend of mine yesterday because I remember seeing Fall Out Boy and Rise Against at Wrigley in
Mm.
2018.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think that Fall Out Boy? It's impossible for anybody to not be influenced by Fall Out Boy at this point, especially in
Yeah.
Chicago, especially in like the kind of music that you and everybody else makes. Do you
Mhm.
think that they still have like they particularly like it's still a thought about thing as like, yes, this band is an influence specifically for the Chicago scene because they are like arguably the biggest band to come out of here?
I, f- I think about this all the time because like the circle of people around my age I talk to about music, when I mentioned that I still listen to like Fall Out Boy and stuff like that, they're like, oh yeah, like I used to listen to them in high school, and I'm like, okay, I listened to them like yesterday, so we are not the same. Um, but like, I don't know. I feel like the younger
If you can
generation
get through a
is,
day without listening to She's My Winona, you are a stronger woman than I.
yeah, right. Like, I mean, they're so good. Their catalog is so expansive. But I think that like the newer, I think it just depends how old the people in the band are. And I'm not trying to make this an age thing by any means, because I think that anyone can make music and everyone's so smart. But like, if you're like a younger band of like kids who are in their teens, like you just like might not even know of Fall Out Boy, which I know sounds crazy, but like there is just such good music in the scene right now, and like you and I talked about before, right? Like there's a revival of that 2010s music, right? So I feel like we're gonna hear a lot more stuff of like people being influenced by bands like Citizen and Turnover if they're like in this kind of scene, or like like Knuckle Puck and Real Friends are like good examples of like Chicago bands here now that like a lot of younger kids might have listened to in their formative years, like as they were finding music. But I mean, but I at the same time, like there's bands like Bottom Bunk and Grave Animosity, who are wonderful homies, and like they also are super Fall Out
Bottom
Boy
Bunk were
pills.
just
Like,
on the show a little while
yeah,
ago.
right. I mean, it's like yeah, like they just covered Chicago so 2 years ago in Lansing, Michigan, right? I mean, like so like there's definitely like I don't like I think I think it just depends on which scoop of the pond you take that day, right? I think there's like certainly still a Fall Out Boy hole in the city. I mean, like they can still play Wrigley, sell it out. Like they're not going anywhere, but I think there's still definitely a lot of people that don't see them as an influence in that same way anymore because they've gotten so big almost, right? They almost seem like so far away in what they're doing now that like their music doesn't seem accessible maybe to new songwriters. Whereas I feel like when I was like going listening to them, they were only like 2 or 3 albums in, so they seemed like local bands to me then. I feel like now they seem more like a global band to a lot of people, and that might put them off.
I do respect them for, I don't know if you've seen the When We Were Young lineup for this year. I respect the
Hmm.
fuck out of them for being the only band who refused to do a full album play.
Yeah, yeah, because they have so much, like there's so much to offer, and like you know, like does my 13-year-old heart want to take this to your grave full album play? Absolutely. Like let me get that out there. Like I would literally go feral, foaming at the mouth, spend my savings to go to that show. But like you said, I respect their integrity of saying like we have so much to offer. We're not just our first album, and we've like done a good fucking job with like the rest of our albums. Like we've gone platinum a couple
We
times.
have
Like
to play the We Didn't Start the Fire cover. It's very
I mean,
important that we get this one
yeah,
out there.
they are that band. They can do that, and like it'll still work, which is crazy. Like I don't know, it's insane what they can get away with sometimes because just they're Fall Out Boy.
Going back to the 1 year anniversary show that you guys are putting on, what
Yes.
gave you guys the idea to do like a 1 year anniversary of the band show? I've never heard of anybody doing something like that. I think it's very cool.
One like the opportunity was just happened to line up. So Kevin from Bottom Lounge, who's also in an amazing band in town called Night Spice, booked us there, my old band, almost 10 years ago, like to the day. Like, so that was like our first like big show of the old band, and that was the first show that reminded me that kind of told me like, oh, like it's possible. Like you don't have to become a global superstar to just be in a band and have fun with your friends and like make cool music. And I think that like really like I was 19 then. Like I think to a 19-year-old me who was like really trying to figure out what they wanted to do with their life, and like, you know, is still I'm trying to figure out what to do with my life. Like that was like a really nice cornerstone of saying like this is something that matters to me and I don't want to give that up. And also like bands come and go a lot these days, like a band can exist for 3 months, put out an awesome record and disappear. Bands can be around for 20 years and like also still like fall off the map. And like I just think it's like a miracle that like the five of us can get together every single week and have been doing that for a year and like make music. So like I wanted to celebrate that. And like I am, I'm gonna be haughty and say that like not me, but the other four people in this band are four of the best musicians on this planet. And like I think that should be celebrated. So happy birthday to them being fucking badasses at what they do. And like
A
like I
singer who
want
mentions their other band members? What's going on
to
here?
crazy, right? But I don't know, like I just like it just felt fun. I just like I think that that's like the big motto I think behind 10 month summers. Like we want to be fun. Like is a lot of our music sad and depressing? Yes. But our live shows fun as fuck? Yeah. And I think like that's like I think my job as a singer who's like not a trained singer and like not the best singer in the world and like relies perhaps a little too much on reverb and delay at a live show is that like I want to perform for you. Like you paid money to come see us. Like I want to make sure you had a good fucking time. Whether it's one person, 100 people, or 1,000, like I'm gonna give you like the same performance, like no matter what the scenario is. And I think like that's been a cool selling point, and is that like we have a lot of like repeat show goers, which I love that. Like I of course I want to tap into new audience members, share music with new people, right? But someone to come to us once and be like, oh, that was fun enough for me to come back again is I think a goddamn miracle. And that's awesome. So like I want to make sure that like every person that comes has the opportunity to feel like that. And so a birthday party for the band felt right, like let's make this a party. Maybe we'll if the rules allow, we'll bring a cake or something. I don't know. I don't want to get in trouble for bringing food into a restaurant, but
The rest of the lineup is super sick for that show.
yes. Oh yeah.
I want to like talk about like putting the bill together for that show, because like it's like people from like all different parts of like it's emo all across there, but there's definitely like different like parts of it that you're bringing in there.
Yeah, so Ghoul for a Goblin, I've heard of around town. I've actually never seen them live, but Kevin found them like to book them on the show, and then Mod, just like exceptional. So Sam and our other
What is
band.
there to say about Mod at this point?
I mean, they're just like they're them, right? Like, like
Right.
it's just yeah, she's incredible. So Sam's other band, Pulse Priceless, shout out to them. Played a show with Mod, and Sam was like, "Yo, Mod goes crazy. Like 10 Month has to play a show with Mod," and I was like, "Let's make it the big one then. Why not?" Lavender Point, I've just heard great things about. And the Region, just another like I haven't played a show with any of these bands, and that's like another thing. We try our best to one book bills that have, and I hate to use the D word, but diversity in the sense of like not like intentionally looking for bands just like, oh, like you fit the bills here on, but like I like your music. I like what you are talking about. I'll contribute to the table. When I was in my old band growing up in the scene, like I definitely felt the otherness of being like a brown lead singer in a band. Like there are a few bands that look like us. I wanted to make sure that like when people come to see us, they see people that look like them, but also like when we play a show, we see people that either like look like us or are as different as us. Because like the bills I've seen in my life have been very just white cis males, and like, hey, like can they make good music? Like yes. But can other people of other, walks of life make good music? Also, yes. And we should maybe champion that as much as we can. And I really like to play.
Imagine this, listeners. Pop punk that's not just whiny lyrics about a girl, about actual problems.
Exactly. Yeah. Instead, listen to us, which is Lakeshore Emo, about happy lyrics about a girl. Shout out my girlfriend because I love her. Like
you very clearly do. Like that comes across so hardcore in the.
I hope so.
When I was listening to that single that you put out last year, Destiny Bond.
Yeah.
You listened to a lot of fucking Tiger's Jaw, didn't you?
Yeah, I do like Tiger's Jaw.
That's Spirit Desire. That's some Spirit Desire influence if I ever done fucking heard it.
100%. 100%. But yeah, I don't know. But like to go back to like the lineup, like I just really want to always also try to champion bands that like maybe haven't gotten a chance to like play a bigger stage. Like I know I love playing with bands that have like 90 to 30 monthly listeners, right? Or bands like don't have a lot of followers on Instagram. I literally don't care about your metrics. I care about when people see you live, do you give it everything? Are you in this to like make a community? Are you in this because you love it? Then I'm on board. Like I can't stand watching bands that have like an ego on stage that are like I'm so big, I'm so cool. It is so humbling to get to spend 3 hours with people in a room like that, and then to be the one on the stage is like such a privilege. And I think that any band that like kind of like takes that for granted pisses me off, frankly. Like I hate it. It turns me off so much. Like I've like literally left shows because I'm just like, oh, this like front man is like rubbing me the wrong way, and I just like walk out.
I've been at shows like that. It fucking sucks. There's no reason to be like that towards people.
No, absolutely not. I mean, they've come to see you. Clearly, yes, you're good enough for a reason. Like they've paid money to come see you. Like you don't have to like put on those fronts of like, okay, now I'm better than you. It's like most of the people are your friends and family. You know what I mean? Like, so like, why not treat them like that.
Exactly. Speaking of friends and family, I do have to legally point out my cat every
Oh,
single.
kitty.
I do
Oh.
have to point out Wyatt every single podcast episode. Do you got any furry companions hanging around the place?
Oh, not yet. No. I really want some. So does my girlfriend, but I've unfortunately I got laid off in August last year and been looking for a job ever since then. And so, I want to make sure that if we get a furry friend, they get the utmost care in their life. And so not having a job makes that difficult. But her mom in Arizona has this cat named Luke, and I love him so much. Like I literally would die for him. He's so small and furry and just perfect.
I got fired about a month ago from my job, and I've been looking ever since. It's very hard out there. Please subscribe to the Cuddlepunk Podcast Patreon. Please
Please do
get
it.
tickets. Please get tickets for a 10-month summer show and go and get merch because it's the best way to support your local artist. We're talking
100%.
about little companions going on. When we come back, we're going to be doing a little matching game with certain different companions. We will be right back with Nish from 10-month.SUMMER. We'll be right back with more of the Cuddlepunk Podcast. Welcome back to the Cuddlepunk Podcast. We are here with Nish from 10-month.SUMMER. We were just talking a little bit about little tiny companion creatures. And you know what I'm thinking is that every musician and every person really needs just a little comfy creature to hang out with. And they don't even have to be real. Sometimes they can be fictional, sometimes from video games even. So what we're going
Oh
to
yeah.
do is I have selected 12 band members from different
Oh,
sides of the scene. And what
okay.
we are going to be doing, Nish, from 10-month.SUMMER is we're going to be giving each one of these band members a Pokemon companion.
Okay. Oh yeah.
We're going to be giving
Wow.
each one of them a Pokemon that we think, like, if we're thinking of them as a gym leader, basically, what's their
Hmm.
main Pokemon that they're going to be hanging out with and vibing with? We're going to start, of course, with Patrick Stump from Fall Out Boy.
Okay. Wow. I would give him a Haunch Crow just because of the
Honchkrow.
fedora. Yeah, just because of the
How
fedora.
do you
You
spell
just
that real
got it.
quick?
I believe it's Honch, Haunch, Krow. I believe that's how you spell it. Man, I hope I know all
Yes,
these.
I do remember you. We're gonna go with Honchkrow. No, actually, yeah, that makes complete sense. That is actually perfect.
Just hats up.
Hats up.
Oh, heck yeah.
Perfect.
Let me look at them. They're
Look
just
at the two of them
homies.
next together. Look at the two of them next to each other. I mean, what are you gonna do? What are you? That's
Yeah.
just perfect right there. Next up, we have Tades from Hot Mulligan. Look at this sexy beast right here. Look at this
Oh,
absolute
yeah.
hunk of a man.
Taste from
What
Hot
is
Molly.
this
Okay.
absolute? What Pokemon does this absolute Giga Chad want to have next to him? I feel like a lower evolution fighting type is perfect for our boy Tades right here.
I could see that. I was also thinking of a Herdier. It's the first evolution dog Pokemon or a Snubble. I feel like a smaller dog. If not that, a
What?
Machop. If we're going like he's got the Machop pose right
You
there.
know what?
Uh,
Actually, I think Nidoran. That's the one I'm thinking of.
oh, I could see that too.
Nidoran for Betty.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah.
I think this is
That's
the one.
a
I
that's
think
a
Nidoran might be the one. Nidoran fem version for Betty. Speaking of fem version, we got Mod. Now, I actually was talking with Mod right before this, and I already know what we're going to be going with.
Oh, okay. I'm curious to hear.
I immediately thought Gardevoir.
Oh my gosh. Yes.
That's
That's
perfect. It's perfect, right?
you
Like,
read my
especially with
mind.
the picture that we chose,
That's
that
the
I
only
chose
one
for
I
this one.
felt comfortable knowing off the bat. Like I saw this picture, I was like, okay, I know that's Mod. I'm thinking Gardevoir is going to be the right one.
Absolutely.
Same brain cell.
She was worried I was going to give her a grass type for some reason. Next up, we have Courtney LaPlante from Spirit Box.
Okay. I'm trying not to just go off of like how the picture looks and what the Pokemon looks like, but this one I
That's fair.
can't. But I can't help it though. I feel like Hatterene, it's a psychic fairy Pokemon. I just like with the shade of blue that they've got on a
You know,
Gen 8 Pokemon.
I
Like,
can see that. I
because of
can
the
see
hair,
that.
the hair's giving me that.
Definitely. That Pokemon looks like it gents.
Yeah, exactly. Like, it seems all, inconspicuous, but then suddenly there's some just like hard shit coming.
I'm glad I have an expert like you on here because I will admit that my knowledge pretty much peters out around Gen 4.
That's pretty far though. I feel like
Yeah.
many are just, Kanto Johto only, but
Diamond, Pearl, and Platinum are
yeah.
my favorite games in the entire series. Like, the only movies that I think are good The only Pokemon movies that I think are genuinely good are Lucario and the Mystery of Mew, and then Rise of Darkrai. I think is actually a very good Pokemon horror movie.
I haven't seen Rise of Darkrai, but the Lucario one is a great film.
It's everyone's favorite. It's Jer.
Jer, okay. Well, because of the microphone, like I'm thinking of not the it's the middle stage, Gen 3. It's Loud Red.
Loud Red.
Yeah. I feel like they would just really have a good time together. Like they'd be like buddies, like not just for battling, but just like for hanging out.
I could see, yeah, definitely.
Xbot's too angry, like Loud Red seems chill. He's just here to, have a good time.
It's just a dude with a big old mouth just wanting to have a good time, have a party.
Yeah. They're both on that ska mission.
Absolutely. Taylor York from Paramore.
Okay, Taylor from Paramore.
A Pokemon that has like secret abilities, but is not one that's trying to like hold on to all the spotlight necessarily.
Yeah. Hold on. Give me. I'm like scrolling through every single generation right now.
Go right ahead. Take your time.
Quite a few to flip through. Someone who's not trying to really
over 1,000 at this point, I believe.
I know. Yeah, there is over 1,000. I do think it's gonna be a second stage. It might even be a first stage Pokemon. I want to say like he's been around for so long. I want to say it's got to be like a Gen 1 or Gen 2.
I feel like we could give him a Growlithe.
Oh, I could see a Growlithe. Yeah,
just little puppy guy.
Yeah, look proud when he wants to do his thing. I think Growlithe fits. Yeah, with the mane too. Yeah.
Oh, I didn't even think about the mane. That's very good.
I think Growlithe fits. Like I think a fire type is right. I feel like fire types are humble.
And if he hasn't gotten fire powers from Haley at this point, I don't know what the fuck he's doing. Ian Farmer from Modern Baseball.
Oh, okay. Ian Farmer from Modern Baseball. He's got to have.
Is it mean to give him Mr. Mime?
No, I think that would be it. I feel like Croagunk is what I'd put with him.
That's actually very fucking good.
he's just chilling. He's just a guy.
I also get the feeling because I was still watching the anime at this point. Ian definitely does seem like he gives the vibe of the guy who will like tell the homie when he's like flirting too hard.
Yeah, he'll keep you in check.
Ray Toro from My Chemical Romance, the god of guitar.
Yeah, I mean, is it too cliche to give him a toxicity?
I don't think so.
Like they both shred. That one makes so much sense. I feel like.
Oh, absolutely. If you saw that in the background of Danger Days album's cover,
yeah,
you would you wouldn't bat an eye.
Exactly, it just makes sense to be in there.
Kelly from Block Party.
Oh man, I just listened to an old Block Party record a few weeks ago, and I really enjoyed it.
I saw Block Party and Genesis Owusu open for Paramore last year. It might be the best. It's in my top 10 sets of all time, like just top 10 shows of all time, back to front. Haley just straight up said there will be no white people opening for Paramore on this tour. We will not allow it.
They're from the UK, right?
Yes.
Okay, we have to.
I see where you're going with this. Okay.
We have to give him we have to give him a Galar region Pokemon, right? I mean,
absolutely.
It'd be silly not to. Now the question is, who does he get? I think let's give him Obstagoon. I think that fits him. Like Obstagoon is like his bouncer,
Oh yeah. Edith from Meet Me at the Altar.
Oh man.
The queen of pop punk that's not just whiny lyrics about a girl, if you really want to get down to it.
Yeah. I mean, like they're keeping Fueled by Ramen alive.
They really the fuck are.
They really are.
Like it's them and 21 Pilots at this point.
Yeah, I'm like, 21 Pilots still doing.
Have you heard from Lights in a while? Have you heard from Fun in a while? No, you haven't.
Shoot. I was gonna say Eevee, but I don't think that's right. I think I was thinking Eevee because it could evolve into many things, but I
It's a good answer. But I think we can do a little bit better. I think
I agree. There's Melodic, that's the one. Or Melodic. However you say it. Melodic. I'm not sure how to pronounce that one. But it's the evolved form of Feebas. But it's got these beautiful scales, and I feel like
Milotic.
Milotic, yes.
Yes, absolutely, 100%.
It was between that or Altaria, but I think Milotic fits better.
This Pokemon in particular serves more.
100%.
I have to bleep. I don't bleep anything, but I know I'm gonna have to bleep.
But it's a British show, right?
Watches this shit. God damn you. Joram from Rustring and Devin K in the Solutions and Direct Hit. She is the hardest working human being in the city of Chicago. I don't know how the fuck she does it. I bring up every episode how she did like 5 sets at Fest last year.
Yeah,
in 3 days.
I mean,
I feel like a steal type for Joram.
Yeah, I think that we have to go with Steelix here. And I know that is going to sound like, oh yeah, Steelix, it's easy. But here's the thing. Steelix, his body was made from the pressure that like would have broken an Onyx, and it just had to evolve to become a Steelix. And Steelix goes so hard. I remember playing Gen 2. If you're playing Gen 2 and don't have a fire type Pokemon and you get to Jasmine's gym and she busts that Steelix out, you're like, what am I supposed to do against this? Like, if you chose Chikorita, useless. If you chose Totodile, maybe a little water gun helps there. No, I mean, that thing was such a threat, and so is Joram. So, I mean, I feel like it fits.
I remember my Soul Silver days, definitely. I remember my having to walk that Pokewalker quite a few times to be able to beat that Steelix. Because I did pick Cyndaquil each time. I did. I'm not gonna lie. I picked.
I'm also Fireboy. Yeah, on subsequent playthroughs was tough.
Finally, Matt Caracas from Citizen and his solo work. I feel like it's too easy to pick a weed-based Pokemon.
Yeah, no.
What's Weed Cat again? I only know the Pokemon is Weed Cat.
Sprigatito, that one.
Sprigatito, that is what it is. Yes.
Yeah, I think this is gonna shock some folks. I'm gonna give him a Cleffa.
A Cleffa.
Yeah, the pre-evolved form of Clefairy. Here's the thing. If you have listened to all of his solo albums, you know that he's a little softy. And like he would tell you, he'd probably open, like, if this was a gym battle, he'd open the battle with some like tougher hitting, fairy types, maybe like a Togetic or like Togekiss, even like some bulky like a Blissey. But his ace would be this little Cleffa who he couldn't help. Like, he never wanted it to evolve. He's had it since he was a kid. He doesn't want it to turn into a Clefairy. He just wants it to be this little squishy ball. That's Matt Caracas' ace in the hole when it comes to the gym battle.
Cleffa looks like they give good hugs, and Matt looks like he gives good hugs. So I think we're very good there.
Yeah.
We have done it. Our 12 artists and matched them with their 12 Pokemon. Nish from 10-Month-Summer, thank you so much for coming on this episode of the Cuddlepunk Podcast. Where can we find you guys?
You can find us primarily on music-wise on Spotify and Apple Music and YouTube and our Bandcamp. If you want to chat with us, I am chronically online on Twitter and on Instagram. Our Twitter is at TENMONTHSUMMERBAND, and we're just 10-Month-Summer-Band on Instagram. So easy to find us. If you just search the words 10-Month-Summer and Pokemon in the internet, you'll probably see us somewhere, because it's all I talk about all the time.
When this episode is coming out, you can find them this Saturday at Bottom Lounge, celebrating the 1-year anniversary of them being a band. You can get tickets for that in the link down in the description. Please go. Please support them. Please stream the song that they just put out yesterday. What's the song called?
We put out a song called 202, which is a B-side, but it's a love ballad. So if you're into your feels, we're also going to play it live only once. We're playing it on Saturday, and you probably won't hear it again for a long, long time. So if you like the song, if you heard it, you better come. Otherwise, we won't hear it live for a while.
Stream the song. It just came out yesterday. Come to see the show. You can find me at Veronica_Vex, basically all over social media except for TikTok, where I am at the Cuddlepunk Podcast. Please subscribe to the channel. Please leave this video a like if you liked it. Please comment down below what your personal Pokemon companion would be, or what the Pokemon companion of your favorite band member would be.
Yes.
You can find links to all of my socials and all other ways of listening to the podcast, either video or audio, at my link tree in the description down below. If you liked what you see and you want to help support the show, please consider pledging to the Cuddlepunk Podcast Patreon. You can get a bunch of cool stuff for only $3 or $5 a month. There's also a free option. The logo for the Cuddlepunk Podcast was done by Lauren Young. You can find her Instagram in the description below. The theme song for the Cuddlepunk Podcast is Lose a Turn by Modify, who you can see at the show on Saturday. And you can also find links to all of her stuff in the description below. Nish, thank you so much for coming on this episode.
Thank you for having me. It was a pleasure.